Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nonstop Steph, and today I want to go over the best 5 scenarios for Trey Lance now that it appears that he will be on the trading block. Now, before we get into those 5 teams, I think the best thing we can do is talk about what got us here, right? How did we actually end up in this position? To begin with, the 49ers liked him coming out of North Dakota State. Now, the caveat, though, is this was COVID year where there was not a lot of games played, right? So there was not a lot of film. It's not like he played a lot in college to really get himself ready for the next level. However, the 49ers did still see it fit to go ahead and draft him, so they trade 3 first-rounders and a third-round pick to actually move up to the third position in that draft to draft him, right? So he becomes a third pick that year. At the same time, while that's going on, Jimmy G is on his contract year, right? It basically looks like Jimmy G will not be returning to the 49ers. Doesn't look like anybody is that interested in getting Jimmy Garoppolo, and it also doesn't look like he wants to leave. So he does re-sign with the 49ers for a lower amount for him to be able to come back, right? So that's how that works out. So at that point, we're looking at Jimmy G as the starter, looking at Trey Lance as the backup, and with the very final pick in the draft, they also picked up some guy named Brock Purdy, right? He'll become relevant here in a second, right? So going forward, what happens from that point basically is we see Jimmy G get hurt, right? So basically, who's up next? We're looking for you, Trey Lance. Unfortunately, he gets hurt too. How does he get hurt? He breaks his ankle. Damn. Unfortunate. We hate it. We hate to see it, but it is what it is, right? So then comes in Brock Purdy, right? Like I said, he becomes relevant again later on in the story, right? So he goes on to ball out for the 49ers, does fantastic, leads them to the NFC Championship game where unfortunately now he gets hurt. So now they have no quarterback. So fast forward, now we're in this current offseason, right? This year, no longer do they have Jimmy G. They've got Brock Purdy, who looks to be the QB1. They picked up Sam Darnold as a free agent. And now Trey Lance has recovered from his injury, and he's now looking to compete for that backup role. Story's almost done. Unfortunately, as it looks, apparently it looks like he lost that backup role, hence why he is now on the trading block. The 49ers gambled on him. They gave up a lot to go get him. So now more than likely they're going to have to get rid of him, and they're not going to get the same return, right? No one's going to give them 3 first-rounders and a third-round pick for him, given what we've seen from him so far. So it is what it is, right? So with all that being said, that is the, how we got here, right? Unfortunately, due to injuries from Jimmy G, his own injuries, and really the ascension of Brock Purdy, he has never really been able to live up to the hype that we once believed he would hopefully be able to have coming into this season, right? So it is what it is, like I said. Now let's get to the 5 teams that I believe will be the best fit scenarios for him. Coming in at number 1 is going to be the Los Angeles Rams, right? Now, I've talked about the Rams in the past where I've mentioned that right now, this is the best chance that they have before they pretty much have to blow this up, right? So if they do decide to blow this up, Matt Stafford, after last year's injury, may not be able to return. They've lost a lot of the talent around them. Everyone's getting older, things like that, right? This team is going to eventually possibly have to hit the restart. So if I was Trey Lance, I would actually relish in the opportunity to go play behind Matt Stafford, learn from him for a year, like we saw the Saints do with Jameis Winston. Maybe he needs to do something similar. Play behind this veteran quarterback who is aging, right? This is the tail end of his career. Matt Stafford will not play that much longer. So if you play behind him for 1 year and learn from him, learn what he does well, because this dude has had one of the highest talents in the NFL for a long time at quarterback in terms of just arm talent. Most people cannot do what he was able to do, hence why the Rams went all in to go get him that year, right? And end up winning the Super Bowl, right? It worked out in their favor. Unfortunately, that was a 1-year thing. This was not going to continue, and this is going to be their last year. So if I was Trey Lance, that is a destination that would fit me best, and they might also like to have me, because Sean McVay is also known to be one of the better coaches, and he might be able to develop and bring him to a position better than where he is right now. The next team that I believe should be looking to go get him is going to be the Raiders. Now, honestly, ever since they've lost Derek Carr, I don't know what the direction for that franchise is, right? I know that obviously this is going to be a rebuild. They've lost Darren Waller. Right now, Devontae Adams, who knows how long he's going to be there. And in reality, their quarterback room is kind of weak right now, right? So if you add in another quarterback who might be able to at least compete, if not compete, win out that battle, I think Trey Lance actually has a lot of opportunity if he was to go to the Raiders. How that all pans out, we will not know until, time will tell, essentially. But I do think that if I was Trey Lance, I would certainly be interested in that opportunity and that option if it was up to me. Another team that I think should be going for him is the Cardinals. They may not be the #1 team that should be going after him, but I believe that will challenge Kyler Murray in a way that I don't think he's been challenged yet. I don't think that he's had to feel any sort of pressure on this team. Now, I'm not saying that Trey Lance would walk into that room and actually outperform Kyler Murray, but I think that would actually inspire me if I was Kyler Murray. This past season wasn't a good year. At a certain point, this team has put a lot of money in his pocket. I think that if I'm them, I really got to see a return on this investment. And if you're not going to be the guy, I got to find the guy. And if I was the Cardinals, I'd bring him in, see what happens. Maybe he's there. Maybe, Kyler Murray hopefully does stay healthy. And if he doesn't, at least we can plug and play someone else and see how he does. Speaking of health, the fourth team that I think that should be pursuing him is going to unfortunately be the Dolphins. Again, I don't like bringing up the health, but Tua last year, once he went down, the Dolphins really were not that good. When he was not playing, they just weren't that good. Now, I know they brought in Mike White from the Jets to be the backup, and I just wonder who's got the higher ceiling. In my opinion, in terms of the higher ceiling, it's going to be Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance at his peak will be better than Mike White will be. However, if you're talking about who's got the lowest floor, as it appears to be right now, it probably is Trey Lance. Now, give him some time to play behind Tua, learn the system, see all the things that they do well, and honestly, a lot of the things that they do well fits Trey Lance's game, probably better than it fits Mike White's game, in my opinion. Anyways, if that is something that they at least pursue, I think that you can see at least a stronger bench at quarterback because, injuries are inevitable, right? They're going to be a part of the game. Hopefully we don't see any come to Tua again. Hopefully no concussions, nothing like that. But again, unfortunately, injuries are a part of the game. And as much as we can avoid it, we're going to try. But if it happens, it happens. Who's the next best up? If I was the Dolphins, I can't imagine that the asking price is going to be that high to get Trey Lance at this point because they know that the 49ers cannot get what they put in. It's just not going to happen, right? Anyways, the fifth and final team that I think that should be pursuing Trey Lance is the Cowboys, right? Like, hey, listen, at this point, Dak Prescott is getting older. He's only getting older. He's running out of time. Jerry Jones is running out of time, right? The dude's getting pretty old, if we're being honest. It's soon enough. We've got to see them do something great, or we got to make some moves here. We got to do something. So if I was the Cowboys, I would so be interested in that. I would so be interested in having a backup plan because as much as none of us want to see Dak Prescott throw the highest interceptions in the league again, if he was to have a repeat performance this year, midway through the season, I think it's time for a change if he was to be on that same pace. Now, I don't expect that, right? I'll just let that be known now. I have no expectations that he will repeat the same performance as he did last year because that's not what his career has shown us. Last year may be an anomaly, hopefully. Just a bad year, just is what it is, right? But if it was to continue, you got to have a backup plan. And this team, the Cowboys, are too good to just throw up the white flag and just let it be. If I was them, I'm doing everything I can to compete, especially because that defense is just too good, especially the defense. Don't let them boys down just because the quarterback play is not where it needs to be. So bring in someone who might be able to apply a little bit of pressure to Dak Prescott, because if I was him, I'm not feeling no pressure. I'm not worried about anyone behind me right now. I'm not saying Trey Lance will be that guy, but again, the 49ers gave up so much to go get him. Obviously, with him being on the trading block, you're probably less worried about losing the battle to him, but I have to think if I'm another team or if I'm a quarterback, that this guy's got something in him. He's got an X factor. He's got something about him that made the 49ers go do that, and I'm not trying to find out by me being replaced. So with that being said, of course, I appreciate you guys for watching the video to the end. Like and subscribe. I'll continue posting more of this content, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Peace.